Welcome back, everybody. It's the ClaireMont Show. I'm Lamont, and that is
Claire.
And today we've got a special show and a very special guest. Things we're going to cover. Kristi Noem and her late response in getting rescue to the people in Texas. Can you believe that, Claire? Yeah.
Unfathomable.
That's what I said. We're also going to talk about something in the big, beautiful, but I call it ugly bill that is going to hurt higher education. And we know that MAGA loves uneducated people. Trump said that himself. And we're going to also cover the situation that's going on with Trump having troops in LA for who knows what reason other than a dog and pony show and intimidation. And coming to our show today, very special guest, the mayor of my town, the mayor of Elon, one of the best mayors in all the United States. When you feel down about politics, this young lady has the ability to lift you up. She's the reason I got back in politics. The next voice you'll hear will be Emily Sharp, Elon's mayor. Here we go.
I'm up early for the dealers come out. Everybody is outside till the killers come out. You ain't eating, you just act full. I'm impactful. Dozen funerals in a month. I got that full. I will give it to niggas in all rap forms. Ignatius out right now on all platforms.
There she is, ladies and gentlemen. Emily Sharp, the mayor of Elon. How you doing, Em?
Hey, I am great. Thanks for having me. And quite the intro. Quite the intro. I feel like there's a lot of pressure in that.
Oh God, ladies and gentlemen, she's teasing. She's the most humble person you're gonna find. If you ate humble pie, she would be the crust. Trust me. She is one of the sweetest people I know. Works hard, works two jobs. If you didn't know, some mayors still have to work other jobs, ladies and gentlemen. And she does all that and still has time to meet the people, go see her constituents, no matter whether they're Democrat, Republican. She listens to everybody and she forms committees based on the needs of the city. We couldn't have a better mayor up here. Emily, you deserve all that.
Thank you. That's so kind.
Claire, we've got a packed show today, and I want everybody to not forget, please go to that link. You get the ClaireMont Show, you get my IMDb, you get Claire's link, you get the ClaireMont Show on TikTok, you get all our links just by going there. And Claire, you know we love to start this show off with the We've Had It segment, which is similar to the I've Had It segment that they do on the I've Had It podcast. And so, Emily, we'll let you go first with the I've Had It, but we got a little theme music for you to get you pumped up. Take a listen to this. Let it go, Emily. What have you had it with?
I mean, there's so many things. How do I choose one?
Me every week.
So a running list. People who drive slow in the fast lane. People who litter. I think just like a general ignoring of rules. Like yesterday, I was flying back home from New York City, and the guy next to me was listening to his music out loud, and he talked on the phone until the plane was literally coming off of the ground. And I just kept giving him a look like, I know you heard them say your phone is supposed to be in airplane mode. And he just kept talking. And so these are, I would say this is a big one. Phones that are not on vibrate or silent. I'm like, no one should hear your phone ring. And that might be an unpopular opinion, but I'm a big advocate that no one should ever hear your phone ring. But one that I would say just really irked me this week because I was in New York City, and that is a paper straw. I understand why we're not using plastic straws, but whoever thought that putting liquid inside of a paper straw was a good idea should be fired. I mean,
I agree.
A paper straw is terrible. Like, I would rather drink out of probably even like a moldy glass straw. Like, paper straws are terrible. They're gross. They literally crumble into your drink. I'm like, who ever thought that a paper straw was a good idea? So I would say that is definitely my big one this week, because in New York, they don't have straws otherwise. And that's fine. I just won't use one. But a paper straw is it's stupid.
And they can make ones now that look like they're plastic, but they're biodegradable. I don't know what the material is, but I know that a lot of big chains are starting to use them, and they're not paper. And so when I first saw them, I was like, oh, I guess we don't care about the turtles anymore or whatever. And then I keep seeing that they have like biodegradable on them. So I'm like, I don't know what this is made out of, but better than plastic and better than paper.
I think it's made out of the pit of an avocado. I know that there is a company that makes them out of the pit of the avocado.
It's so cool.
So maybe it's that. Maybe they've come up with something else, but I know that does exist.
I love when technology does good things for us. Like when we really put our heads together to make good things happen with technology, as opposed to ruining the earth. I just love that when people put their heads together. Scientists.
So Claire, your I've had it. Emily, sit back and get some popcorn, because this is about to get interesting.
Let me preface, okay? When I was in elementary school, and I forgot about this until I started doing the show, I used to have like a lunchtime rant session that I would do regularly with my friends because it was entertaining, of course. And I always had something to say. I'm an early advocate. I'm an early protester and an advocate for the people, because I would sit there and I'd be like, today, Miss Kelly wanted to get, and then they would be like, yeah, exactly. Why did she do that to us? So anyway, I'm made for this. So I have had it this week with people saying, let me preface this. You know, when you just get a weird vibe from someone, it's a new coworker, or it's your friend's friend that they just introduced you to, or your friend's boyfriend, or something like that. And everyone's like, oh, he's so great, or she's so great. And then you meet them and you're like, something's off. Like, I just have a weird vibe. Or you have a couple conversations with them and you're like, yeah, I don't think they like me, or something's off. And then you go and talk to the person, another person who knows them, and they're like, they're nice to me. I mean, they seem cool. Like, it's not that deep. Like, I'm sure it's not personal. I have a coworker who is the nicest person to literally everyone. And I just have noticed over time that there are these little micro aggressions almost. Like, she will just kind of let it go for a second, only at me, and like call me out for stuff, and then immediately pivot back to being nice again. And every time I talk to my coworkers about it, I'm like, guys, did you hear that? Did you see that? So-and-so like being rude to me again? They're like, she's so nice. It's really not that deep. Stop looking into it so much. Like, she's so nice to me. I'm like, it's so invalidating. And it's such gaslighting, because I thought I was crazy. Again, like, thought that I was making it up. This person probably doesn't really hate me that much. Everyone keeps telling me that it's not that deep. Everyone keeps telling me to get over it. And then one of my coworkers came and told me that, yes, this person has openly admitted to her that I grind her gears and I annoy her for whatever reason. So again, I knew I was right, but everyone was gaslighting me. I'm sure she doesn't dislike you. She's such a nice person. No, if you're good at reading people, sometimes they are nice to you and they're not nice to other people. That's just people. But it always bothers me so much in any context where people think that their personal interactions with someone are the only interactions that person has, or that the angle of the person that they're seeing must be how they are all the time. And then they don't believe you when you give them another story. It's like, sometimes people are nice to one person and not another. It doesn't mean that I'm lying if your experience is different. And you can expand this to politics too. I mean, we see it a lot with the right. A lot of times they're talking about, well, this doesn't affect me. It's like, just because it doesn't affect you doesn't mean you get to cop out and not acknowledge how many other people it's affecting. So that's why I've had it this week. Sometimes it really is that deep.
Wow. I told you, Emily, buckle up. She was going to take you to the fair. I told you. Now, I've had it this week. There's this movie coming out called Superman, and it's been rebooted I don't know how many times. troops, right? I've had it with MAGA soy boys who think that Superman shouldn't be what Superman has always been in the comics. He stands for truth, justice, and the American ideals. And in this movie, the critics are all saying that that's exactly what he did. Lex Luthor resembles Musty Muss in this film, and the government is ran by somebody who resembles Donald Pumpkin Trump. And so some of the early soy boy magazines have gone to this movie and are trashing it, saying it's woke and political. But here's the problem. Rotten Tomatoes critics have given the movie an 85, and fans that have gone to see the movie have given it a 92. So when you break all that down, who really has the problem? Who really has been lying all these years when they say they believe in American ideals and truths? And now that it's thrown in their face for what it really and truly should be and not dictatorish, who's got a problem? The MAGA soy boys. So I've had it with them. Stop trying to ruin my movies. Stop coming to the gym, leaving all your damn barbells and weights all over the place so that I got to come clean it up when it's time for me to live. Get a life. Stop taking steroids and go see something MAGA if you don't want to see Superman. That's my I've had it.
I can hear your passion there. Absolutely.
Yeah. They overused the word woke for me too badly in the wrong way. And I hate that they've turned it into a negative connotation if you allow it to be. And someone who believes in freedom, democracy, and equality is woke. And there's no more woker superhero than Superman and Captain America. So I guess that they're not going to be Superman fans anymore. Having said that, audience, let us know what you've had it with, and if you give us a good enough one, we'll play it on the air. Emily, let us take you right into the fire. There have been so many things going on in politics. It has caused a lot of people to tune out because they just can't deal with what seems to be an unfair fight, what seems to be an uphill battle, what seems to be a losing battle for those that believe in freedom, democracy, and equality. And one thing that has been going on that has been an intimidation thing by the president and his administration is sending troops to border states and sending troops to LA to these riots and committing riots and then going to protest, kicking up dust. Let's take a look at the clip of what recently happened in LA, and then we'll get your rebuttal on what you think about the president in some cases overstepping his power.
Well, the National Guard is now asking pleas for its troops back because, among other things, they need to prepare for wildfire season. But no, Trump today, for whatever reason, sent a small army of federal agents and National Guard troops in military vehicles and on horseback into a park in Los Angeles for a big, weird show of force that nobody can figure out. There was kind of nobody in the park. They didn't seem to have any reason to be there, but this is how they fanned out across a mostly empty MacArthur Park in Los Angeles, California. What's that about? What are you doing? The president of the Los Angeles City Council telling reporters, quote, looked like a staging for a TikTok video, saying that if Border Patrol wants to film in Los Angeles, quote, you should apply for a film permit like everybody else and stop trying to scare the bejesus out of everybody who lives in this great city. The Democratic mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, showed up herself at MacArthur Park while Trump's agents were doing whatever they were doing there. Made them look all the more ridiculous with them masked up, dressed up like they're going to rappel out of helicopters into Fallujah. Here's the mayor in her light blue suit saying, guys, what's up here? She basically shooed them away and they left. Then she spoke to reporters about it.
So I went to MacArthur Park because it is very important that the truth be told about what happened there. Now, you can spin it any way you like, but in my opinion, it's a political agenda of provoking fear and terror. Frankly, it is outrageous and un-American that we have federal armed vehicles in our parks when nothing is going on in the parks. It's outrageous and un-American that the federal government seized our state's National Guard. It's outrageous and un-American that we have U.S. Marines who are trained to kill foreign soldiers overseas deployed in our American city. So here's the truth. There's no plan other than fear, chaos, and politics.
Why did Trump send federal agents on horseback and in what looked like armored personnel carriers into a random California park hosting kids' summer camp. Why this use of federal government resources?
Emily, I knew you could speak to that mayor to mayor. So I picked that one in particular. It happened 2 days ago. It's a mayor to mayor conversation. When you see that, how would you address something like that if the president sent people here to Elon and you as the mayor would have to, whatever your job you're doing right now, you probably had to step away to handle such a thing. Tell us what were your thoughts when you hear this type of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'm similar to her in that I would have just shown up. What is going on? What is happening? Why are you here? And to try to understand what is indeed happening, right? If there were to be an issue that actually necessitated police force, why wouldn't my police chief be the lead agent, right? As she should be.
Shout out to that police chief. She's amazing too, by the way. Shout out to her. She likes the job.
I wasn't expecting to hear she, and that made my day.
Yes.
She's tough, but she's good.
Yeah, exactly. And that would be my first question is, A, what is happening here? Because we weren't informed who is in charge, because they need to align with our local police chief. And, when I think about what I'm seeing in this country, what I really just see at the end of the day, now I have a degree in health promotion. I have a master's degree in health promotion from the University of Cincinnati. Go Bearcats. And, so I always kind of think about it from what is happening here, right? Like, why are people acting in the way that they are? And I really just look at the fact that our president is being advised by unqualified and incompetent people. And our nation is just being run like it's this production of a reality television show, not like the United States of America. And as the United States of America, maybe I was naive to think that we would never be here. I remember I did a semester in Mexico in undergrad, and I remember going into a shopping mall, and the security guards, police officers, whatever they were, inside of the shopping mall, inside of Puebla, Mexico, they had what I would call a machine gun. And I grew up in rural southeastern Ohio and West Virginia. I mean, guns were a part of households wherever we were, right? Like, people hunted. We would, shoot on our property. And so, like, it was normal for me to be around guns. But to walk into a shopping mall and to see, like, again, what I would consider a machine gun, a gun that is clearly designed to kill people, not to, shoot a deer. I was scared, like that scared the crap out of me. And I thought to myself, we will never be like this in the United States. And I'm seeing us going in that direction. And again, I was probably naive to think that, but it's all about showboating. It's about wreaking havoc for the sake of attention. And I think about, when I was growing up, the young men or teens who had their big old trucks and they drove around the circle of the city park, revving their engine. And we see this, in downtown Elon today.
Yeah.
And all I can think about is, it's so sad their mothers didn't hug them enough. It's like, why do you seek so much attention? And I feel like those are the same type of people that are advising the president of our country. And maybe the same with the president. I don't know. But certainly the people who are advising him, just to see the MAGA hat in professional settings, that is not professional, right? Like, you can't even wear a hat in my regular workplace, right? In corporate America, you can't wear a hat. Like, what are we doing? That's so unprofessional. But it all just goes to that like showboat atmosphere. And I'm like, how are we actually supposed to get any work done when all we're doing is acting like we're in a reality television show? And I just think about the difference between the way that we run our small town government in Elon, North Carolina, versus how things are being run at the federal level. And I can tell you we're doing a much better job. And that's sad, right? We should all aspire to be as great as the United States federal government. And that's just not what's happening. And it all just goes back to that. But, you know, as a mayor, you expect there to be collaboration with other agencies. You know, if there is to be something within your town, you expect, or city in LA situation, you know, you expect for someone to give you the courtesy and the respect to reach out and say, hey, we're doing this. You also expect them to follow protocol and policy. You know, if they're filming something, A, what are they filming and why did they not get a permit? If it's some sort of protest, there's still a policy and a process for that. There's just rules, and it goes back to like just people not following the rules, and that being like this pet peeve of mine. Like, it's so easy just to follow the rules. Why are we not doing it? And it kind of just goes back to this kind of lawlessness mentality that is being accepted in our country. And I think it all goes back to that. We don't have respect for other people. It's all about attention-seeking individuals. And that's what's happening here.
Wow. Well said. There's so much I could unpack in that. I want to say two things, because when Claire gets up here, get ready, get your popcorn again. One thing that you said that I feel like I was taught, and me and you are about the same age. I'm a little older, but I was taught in school, elementary school, and all through my social studies, that politicians are the type of people you look up to inspire to be like. And they are the type of people that should inspire their communities, their constituents, their voters, like you did for me. You're not getting that from this administration. The only people he's trying to inspire are the lawbreakers, because he's surrounded by a bunch of them, people that have hate in their heart for Black, brown people and women, and his appeasement. And you mentioned something that we talked about on this show a long time ago when it comes to MAGA men. You just mentioned all these boys running around here on their jacked up trucks, blasting music, doing donuts, about to tear the damn truck up, seeking attention. We've talked about people who are secure in who they are don't behave like that, nor do they feel like they have to flex any muscle to say, hey, look at me. And that's all you get from this Trump administration. Having said that, Claire, I'm gonna give the floor to you.
All right. So, gosh, there's so many things, but I'm going to try and streamline as best I can. One, what you were saying about his administration being just uninformed and not professional, unqualified, all of those things. My parents, so quick background on me, my degree is in psychology and Spanish, my undergrad, and I'm getting my master's in clinical mental health counseling. So I'm like the psych side. I just love the brain, love talking about it. So yes, what you're talking about with him needing to surround himself with yes men. My parents both worked for the government for 30 plus years, federal government, both my parents. My dad was doing international stuff, a lot of defense stuff. He specialized in the Middle East. And my mom worked for like the Marshal Service and a bunch of more like law enforcement based agencies. But all that to say, they were still in the government during Trump's first term and since have retired. During that term, the one thing that my dad kept bringing up, and my dad is a veteran, he's disabled, he gives lectures on leadership and what that looks like in the context of government. And he kept saying how the most concerning thing that he was seeing was how many of his friends were experts. And by experts, meaning they spent 40 or 50 years of their life focusing on one specific thing. And my dad was just flabbergasted because on both sides of the spectrum, of the political spectrum, he had never seen someone who was so adamant that they knew more than an expert. And that was when he started getting scared. And he ended up retiring in 2020 and kind of got out of that mess. But during the 2016 to 2020 era, he just saw a lot of his buddies who were extremely respected in their fields dip out because they just couldn't deal with coming to someone as a advisor. Their job is to advise you because you can't possibly know everything about the economy and about the military and about the judicial system and all of the different things that you need to know as a president. And that's why you have an administration, so you can lean on them. And when you're questioning yourself and you're going, I've never been in the military, I don't really know what this means, that's when you ask for help. And you rely on someone else's expertise. And what he did throughout his first presidency was tell these people who are experts, no, I think I know better still. I'm sorry. Thanks for your advice, though, but I'm going to do what I want to do. And then by the second term, he has now figured out that he needs to handpick every single official that he surrounds himself with, because otherwise they're going to whistleblow and be like, hey, I'm an expert. He hired me and he doesn't fucking listen to me. So yeah, it's really disappointing to see a politician not value the perspectives and opinions of all the other great Americans around them who are there just to help and just to make sure that their job, which is one of the most stressful jobs on earth, goes as smoothly as possible and represents the best interests of American people. And it's just really sad that he doesn't want that. He wants yes men. He wants people who are going to sit around and kiss his ass. And then I also, just on the more of the power display side, you see it in the wild, wild west. You see it with gangs. You see it with the mafia. When you do not have an established system, a judicial system, you have to display power in a very, very dominant and like intimidating way. Street cred, right? We shouldn't need street cred within the realm of the federal government. People know we are a military industrial complex here. We have force. People know that. So when you are deliberately bringing force to places where there is nothing going on, that's when it starts to get really scary. Because to me, it looks like the guy standing on the corner flashing his pistol in his pocket. Why are we doing that? We don't need that. We are not living in a lawless land where we're fighting turf wars. You are the law. You represent the law. So if you're walking around setting this tone of, oh, let's intimidate everyone and show everyone how scary we can be, how do you think that your constituents are going to feel about you? They're going to be scared of you. They might obey you momentarily, but at the end of the day, they're not going to respect you more. They're going to fear you. And there's a huge difference between the two. And just like Lamont said, I grew up in a country, in a sphere. I grew up right outside of DC, where we hold our politicians accountable, but at the end of the day, we respect them because we put them in that position, because we had a choice. This is a representative government. So if you are out on that stage and making yourself and all of us look like a fool, we're going to kick you out because that's not fair to us. But if you get up there and you did what this mayor in LA did, and what I'm sure, Emily, you do on a daily basis, and you speak for the people and you show up in a way that everyone can see what you're about, and you're about them and not about the corporations who are paying for you, or about invoking fear so that you can hold on to your position longer.
Yeah.
We're going to give you that respect, and we're going to admire everything that you do for us. So if he really wanted an admiration, true admiration, he wouldn't be showing force like this. He would be helping people, and he can't do that.
Wow. Emily, I'm going to come back to you, and then we'll go to the next thing. Well said, Claire. I guess you can see why me and Claire team up, because she's got some stuff with her, Em. She can drop a dime quick. Emily has been so well versed and has had the type of leadership where she is respected that she's able to get bipartisan things done, Claire. Mm-hmm. I live in the city. I see it. I go to some of those meetings. Emily allowed me to be on a committee, and a bipartisan committee that works with her to get things done. And when you have representation that does that, you don't have to pull this trigger and dagger horse and stunt joke by sending people to be fearful. The reason he does that, one of the reasons, is because 75% of the men that follow Trump still believe WWE is real. They believe you show up with these men, they really mean something, and it doesn't. And then the rest of the men that follow Trump follow him because they know he's a useful idiot. He's a means for them to get more tax breaks, to socialize the government for the rich while we just poop on the poor, and tell the poor don't use socialization of the government because the rich want to use it. And then the other thing that seems to always happen with Trump, he takes his bad business practices and tries to put them into the government. And that's why this bill is adding $1 trillion to the deficit. And that'll be where I'll pivot us to next, Em. All three of us have education. All three of us. We've got college degrees. One thing we know that MAGA wants to do is continue to dumb down the electorate and try to wedge their way into religion and use religious doctrine as the way that they should get their people to legislate through them. Well, one thing that Trump has done now that's in the big, beautiful bill, and I'll post this up for you to read. Anyone who's trying to get higher education, the man has put a cap on it, and I know that might be difficult to read, so let me read it to you. What the bill caps: graduate and professional students, subsidized and unsubsidized loans are capped at graduate programs, $20,500 per year, with a maximum lifetime cap, $100,000. You go to the right school, it's going to be $100,000 per semester.
Mm-hmm.
Professional programs, medical and law. You know my wife is a doctor. $50,000 per year with a $200,000 cap, and I don't even got to tell y'all what med school costs. Parent plus loans, capped at $20,000 per year, $65,000 per life. Lifetime loan gap, an overreaching limit of $257 total borrowing per person. All right. Now let me read to you why it matters, and then Em will get your response, and Claire will let you chime in too. Why it matters. It matters because eliminates Grad Plus. Previously, Grad Plus allowed graduate students to borrow up to their full cost of attendance. That's gone. Restricted repayment plans. Many flexible options like save, pay, repay are replaced by only two choices: standard repayment and the new repayment assistance plan. And when you limit the way people can do things, you're going against the very tenet of capitalism, which I'm always taught by MAGA Republicans. Capitalism is supposed to be the main principle of capitalism is competition. And right here, you're eliminating competition. It shortens eligibility for Pell Grants and subsidized loans, also face title access. I'm a beneficiary of a Pell Grant. Last thing, impact. Professional degree students risk not being able to fully finance programs' costs via federal loans, potentially pushing them toward private loans with higher rates. And ladies and gentlemen, Em and Claire, both of y'all know I trade stocks on a daily basis. I was watching CNBC this morning, Claire, and guess who was up here having baby orgasms about this particular bill? The CEO of SoFi, because he knows now that Trump has done this, people are gonna have to start going to him and other banks to start getting loans. Em, the floor is yours. If we didn't lose her, I think we lost her.
Oh no.
Oh no. This was about to be good too.
I know this is you built that up perfectly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Claire, go ahead and step in until she comes back.
Of course. Okay, so this hits home really hard because I'm in grad school and I do take out federal loans. And currently my school costs $33,000 a year.
Right.
And it's a 3-year grad program. So that's $99,000 over 3 years.
Right.
So I am working my way through grad school, as most people do. If you're lucky enough to have a parent who can even pay for undergrad, it's very, very unlikely, unless you have exorbitant wealth, that they're going to want to pay also for grad school. My parents, I was lucky enough that they covered my undergraduate tuition, but they said, if you want to get a graduate degree, you might have to start working and take out some loans. And I said, 100%, you paid for my private undergrad. I will figure out a way to make grad school work. And yeah, I take out tens of thousands of dollars in loans every year. And so this isn't something that I have to imagine affecting me. It affects me. And it's crazy that I'm learning about this on air. And I'm very lucky that I receive actually VA benefits. We'll see how long those last, because this administration doesn't really seem to protect veterans the way that they think they do. But yeah, I also don't understand why they would stop giving out loans, because they're not just giving you money and saying bye-bye. It's not like a scholarship program. You make money over time on loans. So if the government is doing this in order to save money, I understand on the front end, you're giving people money, but on the back end, you're technically holding them in debt so that they keep paying you way more than what the initial investment was or the initial cost was. So it's also very silly, because if we're really talking about from a financial standpoint, making this practical, we need budget cuts, we need to put our money elsewhere, whatever, this is the way that you want to do it. Federal student loans are a great moneymaker. It's sad that that's the reality, but most of us are willing to go into that debt because it's going to pay off later. And now we don't even have that opportunity. It's also a commentary on his lack of respect for higher education, because the more graduate students there are in the US, the more people like us are sitting around and talking about what the hell is going on. So yeah, it's very targeted. And Lamont, what you said about him teaming up with bankers who can now charge more, and so that people are going to have to go to banks instead of the government in order to pay for their education. It's a scam, and it's corrupt. It's extremely corrupt. So yeah, I'm very disappointed, and I'm interested to see. I've still got 1.5 years left of grad school. So I'm lucky that I have the financial backing that I do with my family and with my job. But this could really affect me. And that's sad, because all I'm trying to do is help people. I'm going into a helping industry. I want to make this world a better place. And I would hope that the government would even support me in that, because it would help our communities. It's not like I'm going to grad school to be, in private equity or something. I mean, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you would think the government would be like, oh yeah, we need more counselors. Let me help you out. But no, this is what they're doing.
Claire, we're going to get you across that finish line. So don't you worry your heart. You're getting across that finish line. So Emily, when you hear this, what are you thinking? I know how passionate you are about education. Just right here in Elon, we have a major college that Em has a great relationship with. Talk to me about it, Emily.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, first of all, since 2020 and the COVID pandemic, higher education has taken a real hit. Yeah. And, now rewind, before my current life, I actually taught high school for 3 years. I have a master's in teaching, and I will tell you that college is not for everyone, right? Like, no. I taught kids who would not thrive in college, but man, they would be awesome in other things, right? So I do think that more career-based education is necessary in our country, but we also have to think about the careers that really do require more extensive training. Doctors, counselors.
Oh man, she was about to be on a roll.
Doctors, counselors, oh man.
Let me stand in for her till she comes back, because Claire, I do agree with her sentiment. College is not necessarily for everyone, but you can have money for different programs that might not require postgraduate America needs more electricians. America needs more roofers.
Plumbers.
America needs more plumbers.
Plumbers make over 100 a year, a lot of places nowadays.
But even having all that, Claire, you still have to have some level of education for them, even if it's just 6 months.
Yeah.
Even if it's just 6 months. Truck drivers have to go to school for about 2-3 months. So at the end of the day, it's still a form of education, and we still should be funding it. But to just write off she's back. There you go. I was trying to fill in for you, Em, but you're back.
I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening. I don't ever have issues on Zoom or anything. But I heard that you all were talking about plumbers. I mean, exactly. You know, we need people in those career-based fields, but we also do need those higher levels of education for certain roles within our country. And, you know, I agree with what Claire just said, that, you know, the federal student loan program is a moneymaker. Why in the world are we limiting it? You know, now, do I think that education costs too much money? Yeah, in many cases it does. I think it could be a whole lot more affordable. And there's lots of ways to do that. But ultimately, this is one of the few ways that the government makes money. So why the heck would we not continue to offer it? I mean, why do we even have private loans for education? Why aren't all the loans, you know, through the federal government so that the government is making more money? It doesn't make sense. And to me, it's just one of those things that we can trick people who don't understand what is actually happening into thinking that, oh, this is such a good thing. But ultimately, it's not. It's not a good thing. I was fortunate enough that I had a scholarship for every degree that I received, but I still had to take student loans out to cover my living expenses because that was not covered. And I mean, living expenses in Cincinnati on campus, it was like $20,000 for the year. My only student loans were for living expenses because I couldn't have a job and go to school full time. You know, I worked a little bit, but not really. And so it's just not realistic to say that, you know, people can get an education and work full time. So you've got to be able to pay for it. Well, how are you going to pay for it if you can't get a loan that's not going to be an astronomical amount of money that you're never going to be able to pay back?
Mm-hmm. Well, they want this on purpose, Em, because the way they're finagling the government and consolidating power in the government and in the free market, they're trying to make it so that once we shake out the brown people that was doing the quote unquote cheap labor jobs, once we shake out the people that had advanced education in specific subjects, now all those people can be beholding to the oligarchs that run most of the country. Yep. That's part of their grand Project 2025 plan, to have you subjugated to those individuals. And to reach the two payers that they're restricting loans to also were lobbyists for MAGA 3 times in a row. They're triple Trumpers, as we call them. And
conflict of interest much?
It's a conflict of interest, but because of the way power is structured right now, you can't do anything to the president because there's not enough Dems in the House, not enough Dems in the Senate to force him to do the right thing. So for their benefits, they let him get away with everything. And until we as a people come together and realize what's best for everybody, a rising tide lifts all boats, not just the North Star dripping down its light, we'll all get better. But they are on purpose trying to dumb down things, trying to obfuscate things, trying to make things seem harder than what it really is, because they know that the harder something is to learn, the less people are going to want to know it. And government is something really, really hard to understand. And Trump loves it. He's on tape saying he loves his uneducated people. And a long time ago, the man even said he would run as a Republican because those people are dumb as earwax. And look at what he's doing. That's what Trump said. I ain't say it.
Well, you know, the thing that just grinds my gears about all of this is the fact that I, as a small town mayor, I can't accept a free cup of coffee from a constituent
Right.
or someone who could potentially make money from the town. But the amount of like favors and back scratching that it goes on at the federal level, even at the state level, maybe even at the county, I don't know about the county, but it's just crazy to me because, again, I met with a local pastor and he wanted to treat me to coffee. And I said, no, I'll cover it myself. And he was like, you won't even let me buy you a cup of coffee? And I'm like, ethically, I can't, because you could, benefit from the town or something that I decide as the mayor of Elon. And I think he was a little offended by that, but that goes back to ethics too, right?
Mhm.
I have them. I have morals and values and ethics. But it's also part of the political ethics in our state, which I don't know trickles up as much as it should, because it's just ridiculous to me. Like when I hear about like Supreme Court justices taking flights with people, I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
I'm even hesitant to like accept dinner from a friend if they live in the town, because I don't want there to be any room for gray area there. So that just always just irks me that these things are happening, and it shouldn't be. We shouldn't even be taking a cup of coffee, from a constituent.
Right. And like I said, we can't do anything about it because the powers that have the authority to do something about it aren't, because they want to keep them happy so they can get their favors. And another video, we've got to talk about how the Democrats need to build their own playbook. So I've started one on my channel called Project Black Book, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to unveil all the things that Democrats should be putting on paper so that they don't just fall on their laurels thinking that the midterms is going to be an easy win, because Trump has proven to be very formidable. He's proven that. I want to get you guys to Kristi Noem. And we'll make this the last subject so we can all get out of here at a decent time. But we all in North Carolina currently. And we all were here when Helene ravaged Western North Carolina, just ravaged it. Biden came here personally, and was trying to deliver FEMA funds. Trump gets on his megaphone and tells people don't take the money. And you actually had people on camera, on network, saying they're not taking the money from Biden because it's going to hurt the government. That's what Trump said. That kind of manic stupidity. Well, if that happens under Biden, imagine what we all thought would happen under Trump. And let me show you what has happened. Great floods happened in Texas. We lost a lot of kids. There was this big camp going on in Texas. A lot of people came up missing. Kristi Noem, I call her the cosplayer in chief, is running around here putting on military gear and all this crap, putting on hats, making her ego feel good. Kristi Noem did not authorize search and rescue until 3 days after the flood. Here's the report. But even as Texas rescue crews raced to save lives, now mind you, Mexico sent rescue teams up here before her own FEMA team got here. FEMA officials realized they needed Noem's approval before sending additional assets. Noem didn't authorize FEMA Department of Urban Search and Rescue teams until Monday, more than 72 hours after the flooding began, multiple sources told CNN, and multiple sources was backed up by Sean Biden, the Mexican president, who sent troops up the very next day to help with the rescue mission. And we're all wondering what the hell is going on. So, you get the floor first on this. What do you think about our cosplaying person that's not protecting the people?
I don't know how better to say that. I mean, yeah, it's certainly cosplay, and all of the outfits. I'm like, what are we doing here?
She's having fun. She's just having fun. She's playing dress up.
Yeah, I mean,
our lives.
It's ridiculous. let me like kind of bring this back to Elon, right? So
Okay.
Elon, the town, not the other one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so when Helene hit here in North Carolina, we sent members of our firefighters and our police department.
Sure did.
Last month, we had to pass a budget amendment at the cost of $105,000 to our small town, right? Now, that is money that we are hoping to get back through FEMA, but I question that. So now I don't care, right? Like, I don't care to have to spend that money. I think that's money well spent by the town of Elon and our taxpayers to help our neighbors in Western North Carolina. But it's questioned if we're going to be able to get that money back when we provided the services to that area, in hopes. Now, we would have done it anyway, and I'm sure our firefighters and our police officers would have also been willing to just volunteer their time and efforts. But we didn't want to do that. We wanted to pay for their time and effort because they went and did that. So that's already an issue. Now, I think that this just goes back to the incompetence of the administration. This is why you need qualified, experienced, and educated people. If I had a tumor that needed to be removed, I wouldn't go and say, "Oh, let me go to the doctor on Fox News who doesn't have a medical license."
You mean to tell me you wouldn't let RFK work on you? He's head of medicine.
I have an actual degree in a health related field, and yeah, that's ridiculous. And so, you know, again, like, I'm not gonna hire a Fox News commentator without a medical license to remove my tumor. I want the most experienced surgeon I can find within my insurance network to do that surgical procedure. We should put minimum qualifications on every job. Presidents can still pick who they want, but they should have to have minimum qualifications. And simply being the governor of a state should not be the qualification. Like, you need to have experience in the field for that department of government. You know, in the town of Elon, I'm not going to hire, you know, a police chief who's never been a police officer. I'm not going to hire a fire chief that's never been a firefighter. It doesn't make sense that our federal government, and I don't care what party it is, right? Not just talking about Trump and his administration, every single head of every single department should be highly qualified and experienced in the field in which they are serving.
Right.
And that's not radical. That's very logical. You should be more qualified than the people below you because you're leading them.
Yeah.
Claire, let me lob this for you. I'll be Kobe this time. You can be Shaq. I'm gonna throw you the alley-oop. Emily, the problem we have is that Republicans and MAGA have for years been trying to dumb down their electorate and the people that follow them into believing these new online quacks that tell you if you drink salt water, it'll heal your kidney failure. Well, I live with a kidney doctor who will tell you that shit is a lie. It's not going to heal your kidney failure. They'll tell you, Gary Brecker will tell you to drink ionized water and it's going to solve all your gut issues. And because they made people, MAGA has made people not trust professionals by picking anecdotal evidence and then pushing it as conspiracies, they've made it to the point where the only people they feel like they can believe in is Trump and MAGA. And I think another long-term thing Democrats have got to start doing early in education is teaching critical thinking skills. Floor is yours, Claire.
So growing up right outside of DC, my parents would get a lot of calls often from inquirers from the federal government who were vetting people. So we had neighbors. One of my neighbors was the head of HUD. Or another one of my neighbors was the assistant attorney general under Bush. Whatever. But there'd be a new administration or a new thing going on, and they would be calling anyone who's associated with this person, an ex-boss, an ex-boyfriend, just anyone, a neighbor. And they wanted all the information they could get on, does this person ever do drugs? Does this person, have you ever seen them hit a person? Have you ever seen them act inappropriately in public? Have you ever heard them share secrets that they weren't supposed to share? And there was this sense of like, it is our responsibility as the government to look through everything we can if this person's going to represent us.
Right.
And so I always thought that once you are even just being considered for a position, you are vetted. And I don't know how they've gone around the system, but it's like every single person that I see in this administration, I'm like, you wouldn't have passed round one. I don't understand. Even getting Elon Musk in the House, I mean, not in the House, in the White House, like just hanging out. Does he have top secret clearance? My parents had top secret clearance. My dad got polygraphs done every 6 months for his whole career. And I'm like, so this is how y'all are treating people who are not the head of anything. How the hell are these people getting through the filters, the process? I just don't understand what sorts of gymnastics they're doing. And I guess if it's not being enforced by anyone, then you can just do it. But it's just sad because that was my model growing up of like how serious the government is and how serious it is to be a representative within the government, whether you're the little person or you're the leader. And so it's just really disappointing to see the downfall in merit. It's just a lack of merit. And it's dangerous because you don't want someone who's never been a firefighter to be your fire chief. You know, it's a public health risk. It's a public risk in many ways. And I also think, how ironic is it? And what a slap in the face to MAGA that Mexico, big bad Mexico, that they love to say is, they're our enemy at the border and they're sending all their awful people our way because they don't want to deal with them and their government's so corrupt. They immediately sent relief. They also did it with wildfires in California. Yeah. Mexico's government with, you know, Americans, I'm not saying this, but the Americans who are like, they're a horrible government. They don't have resources. They don't have money. Well, the second that we need help, they're sending it. And then they have people passing through their country who might not even be Mexican, who are just trying to get here because of the economy that we have. People are like, look at all these awful Mexicans. So it's just so funny that how many people in Texas are MAGA and had to see that their dear leader and his people delayed help in an emergency. It doesn't get any more serious than this. And Mexico stepped in first.
Well, Claire, the thing is, we've talked about how if you're deep MAGA, you're in a delusion. And oftentimes that delusion is not pierced because they're not reporting that stuff on Fox News or the MAGA bubbles on social media. They don't hear this stuff oftentimes. So when they hear us say it, they'll say we're lying. And then you oftentimes know when you love someone so much, you don't want to hear nothing bad about them anyway. So they don't go looking for the information to see if it's true or not. And I'll say this to get us out of here. I've got a new game I'm going to introduce to you and Claire. It'll be really, really fun. But before I do that new game, Emily, I want to take the time to just say thank you for coming. You didn't have to do this. You continue to show everybody what a great mayor can do for not just her town, not just her constituents, but how she can inspire other people to do better. And you've done that just by coming up here. But I want to ask you a serious question. Because here in our community, Claire, we had an issue with an official who was basically targeting Hispanics. The case went all the way to the Supreme Court. Bona fide evidence was in place, and he got away with it. And so with that backdrop right here in our community, one thing that has come from the LA situation is that you've got these people dressing up, putting on masks, putting on official gear, pretending they are official cops, and putting on masks. And what they're doing is snatching people up. So if somebody, let's just say some troops popped up here and they're saying they're with the administration and they're snatching folks off the street and they're in Elon, who are they supposed to call if they get into that situation here in Elon?
So this has actually been brought up because we were doing a routine traffic. What is it called? Anyway, it's part of the governor's highway safety program, where we set up just routine traffic stops. We're looking for people who are driving under the influence, and our department gets credit to order equipment as part of that program. And it was, earlier this year, and the first question that came out was it ICE? And we have been very careful to make sure that people understand that we do not have any agreement or partnership with ICE in the town of Elon. At the same time, we won't even be notified if ICE enters the town of Elon. They typically, work at with their own rules, and so we wouldn't even be made aware, likely, if ICE were to enter the town. And this is the same for almost every town, similar to what happened in LA, right? Like, they were not notified, they just showed up.
Right.
My biggest question is how do we know that they're actual ICE agents? How do we know that those are actually military personnel? How do we know that they're not just some of these militia groups who like to cosplay, right? To bring that back up. We know that there are these groups that are doing this. And so I think it's just important that people know their rights. They can certainly call our local police department, and the local police department can come and verify identity, and just ask the questions. Don't open the door. I mean, I know that they're doing, they're even going into homes, I think, in some places. And so don't open the door. If you can trust your local police department, which I hope you can, people certainly can in our town, call, and they will come and they will verify that the people at the door should be there or are, an actual legitimate ICE agent or military personnel. But just know your rights. I think that that's so important. And I think that we all need to also recognize that you don't have to be from a different country. You don't have to have darker colored skin to be concerned about what is happening right now. And that shouldn't just be a democratic stance. We are all guaranteed due process, and that's not happening right now. And that's concerning. And if we make it okay under a Trump administration, we're making it okay under other administrations. And that should be concerning to everyone, because if the next president is a Democrat, and if the Democrats, I don't think we would, but if that person wanted to take the same approach, we're setting precedent. And that should never be the precedent in this country. We are the land of the free. And that means the freedom to, speak out against the government, the freedom to practice whatever religion you want to practice. There's so many freedoms that we have that other places don't. And we have to ensure that we're not allowing for the Trump administration or any future administration to take those things away from us.
Wow. Wait, can I jump in really quickly? You just articulated something that I have wanted to articulate for so long. So many people think that the Dems, the left, however they want to say it, are just pissed because they lost this time. It's like, no, I don't think you understand. I would be equally concerned if this were if a Democratic cabinet doing these things to Republicans, doing these things to any group, because as Americans across the board, we all deserve due process. And there are systems in place to protect us and to protect the Constitution that we all must follow anywhere on the spectrum. And God, you just phrased it perfectly. And I can't wait to put this on the TikTok, but you're exactly right. If Republicans are not concerned right now, I want them to envision a Democrat under Biden or whoever they're afraid of, Hillary, whoever they want to put in place, the same things happening, but instead of it being immigrants, it's people who wear MAGA hats. it's equally unconstitutional. It's equally unfair. And you happen to be okay with it right now because you're not the one being targeted. You're not the one scared. But if this precedent is set and it flips, and for whatever reason, the next president isn't on your side, but wants to use the same tactics, you are going to be equally powerless in the face of that injustice. So thank you for putting me to that.
Well said. But the thing is, Democrats historically haven't behaved in this manner and probably would not behave in that manner. And for MAGA, they always stretch the goalposts further for a Democratic candidate. Let me give you an example of that. Trump has been on TV, on the FAA TV, FCC, TV, the last 2 weeks, using hardcore profanity words 3 times I counted. I hear AOC say, damn, and they are just pissed, mad, talking about the Democrats are so disrespectful. Did you not hear Trump just drop the F-bomb on Fox News of all places? And all of a sudden there's a double standard. So while a Democrat wouldn't do anything like that, if a Democrat even mentions something of the nature, they're going to damn them to hell, which is why I've said Democrats, when they get the power back, and they will, you have to wield the power the right way so that we can get freedom, equality for everybody, whether MAGA likes it or not. They're just going to be mad about anything a Democrat does regardless. And most Democrats have been fighting for equality, not just for the rich, not just for the poor, not just for the middle class, but for all classes. And having said that, let's get you to the final game. It'll take about 1 minute. It's a new game that Claire don't even know about it. I just dropped on the audience yesterday. Are you ready, Claire? It is called When They Say This, They Really Mean That. Let me give you the music.
Ooh.
All right. I got Vanna Black waiting right here with prizes if you guys can get this stuff right. Who wants to go first? When they say this, the GOP really means that. Who would like to go first? Claire, you want to go first? Okay. All right, Claire. Oh, Claire, I'm going to make it hard for you. I'm going to make it hard for you. I'll make it hard for you. When a Republican says, I'm fiscally conservative, socially progressive, what are they really saying?
I value money more than people. Pause. And I don't acknowledge that funds directly impact social issues.
Oh, have mercy.
That was good. That was good.
Look, Claire, I'm gonna be broke, Claire. You just won the prize. Bing, bing, bing. Vanna Black, get the prize ready because she's gonna get some money for that. Good one. Well said. Now it's your turn, Emily. Oh boy. Here we go.
Like, how am I going to beat that? I mean, that was so good. I mean, I probably just would have said anyone that says that is what they really mean is they're full of shit. So
that's right too. That is correct too.
That's technically true.
No wrong answers there.
Yes, that's technically true. But Claire just said it in such a didactic manner. It just she would have got extra money for that answer. So Emily, I'm gonna give you the easy one of the 2 questions I polled today.
Okay.
Here we go. When Republicans say, I don't see color, what are they really saying?
That I ignore that people have differences that can impact their lives. I mean, now let me also just say, I grew up somewhere that this is very frequently said. I probably said this at some point in my earlier years, right? Like in my high school, there were 3 Black kids. That was it. Mm-hmm. You know, there weren't a lot of people of color in my life. I can't remember there being any Hispanic or Latino individuals growing up. I don't remember there being any Middle Eastern people where I grew up. And so this is definitely something that I heard all the time. And I think that if you're not exposed to differences among people, it's very easy to believe that. And we actually had a town council member at one point, they're not on our council anymore, say, there's no discrimination in Elon. I've never seen it. And I said in a public meeting, I said, how many Black friends do you have? And they said, why is that relevant? And I said, well, how would you see it if you're never around people of color? But that's that. So some of it I do believe is just naive, that they're never exposed to it. But some of it is just an absolute unwillingness to understand what life is like for other people.
We will accept for half the price the second part of your answer, because clearly whoever that person was you were talking about, I just mentioned someone who was targeting Mexicans, not just in Alamance County, but in Burlington, and several times they was targeting Hispanics in Elon. And that case went to the Supreme Court, and you cannot tell me that that person you're talking about wasn't keeping up with that case, because he was. They were. So for them to say that they don't see color is disingenuous. That person, anyway, he just wanted to turn his back to the abject failure that this country has done to most people of color, and doesn't want to work to solving how we can lift all boats. That's it. But great answers, ladies. You did a wonderful job. Emily, we will email you a copy of this video if you want to share it. You did such a good job. I easily see you having a career in podcasting. If you wanted to, you would get a lot of followers for sure.
And you're welcome back here anytime. If you don't want to set the whole setup and all that stuff, you can always come on back here, and we'll set it up for you. We'll make it nice and smooth.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for having me. And I just filed this morning to run for my second term.
Emily, that's so great, because did you also see the good superlative about North Carolina is the CNBC #1 place to do business in the United States?
Wow.
Yep, we did it. So ladies and gentlemen, please be sure to share this video, share it with your friends, like the video. If they want to see an example of a role model mayor, this is the video to send them. Emily, it's been a pleasure. Claire, you know how we get down. Follow the link, everybody. This video will be up on the podcast, the YouTubes, the TikToks, ClaireMont show, Politics of Being Black show. We're so thankful, Emily. And until that next Sexy as Hell political video, we're out. Good job.